Now there's a very important concept you need to understand in JavaScript when it comes to variables, and that is variable hoisting. Now in JavaScript, you can declare variables anywhere you want in your script, but when that script is executed, all the variable declarations will be automatically moved to the top, which means you can actually reference a variable before it's even declared. This is how it works. Now let's type in a variable food. Now we haven't even declared a variable named food yet, so it should throw an error. And if this is all you have, it will throw an error because JavaScript won't find any variable named food, so it'll throw a reference error. But if we actually declare the variable in a later part of the script, so for example, if we eventually declare that variable food, and even assign it a value, in this case eggs, then the first statement where we try to access the value of food won't return a reference error. It'll actually return undefined. And if we try to access the value of a variable after we've declared and assigned it, then it'll give out the correct value, eggs. So when you write a code like this, it's actually treated somewhat like this. So when you write code that's similar to the example on top, it's actually treated as the example on the bottom. In the top example, we're declaring a variable in the middle. Variable food equals eggs is in the middle of our script. But no matter where we declare the variable in our script, the variable declaration, which means var food, it'll be moved to the top automatically by JavaScript. So although we declare the variable food in the second line, the variable declaration, which is var food, is actually moved to the very top. So this 3 lines of code is actually treated as variable food first, then we're trying to access food, which currently contains undefined because we haven't assigned it a value yet, and then we assign the value eggs to food, and then we try to access it, it gives out eggs. So this is called variable hoisting. So whenever you declare a variable, no matter where it's declared in your script, whether it's on the middle or even at the end, when that script is executed, all the variable declarations is moved to the top automatically. Which means, even if you declare a variable in the middle of the script, you can actually reference that variable before the declaration, although it'll return undefined, because only the variable declaration is hoisted, but not the assignment of the value. So in this case, var food equals eggs, only the var food part is actually hoisted to the top, but not equals eggs. Food equals eggs is stated where it's meant to be. But the variable declaration, which is var food, is automatically hoisted to the top, which means if you eventually declare a variable later in your script, you can actually reference that even before you've declared it, and it will only return undefined. It will not return a reference error. Now, with all the talks about variables, you might be thinking, well, why do we need to use variables? Why do we need them in JavaScript anyways? Well, variables in JavaScript serve kind of the same purpose as variables in algebra. They're used as containers for values. They're used to refer to something else. They're used to refer to a more complex values. They're also used to make the code more readable, more optimized, and faster to execute. Variables can be used where we have to use the same value multiple times, so you don't need to repeat yourself. For example, let's see we have a variable var colors which equals black plus white. So in this case we have a variable named colors and we're assigning it the value black plus white. Now black plus white, these are 2 strings and these will be concatenated into a single string black white, and the black white string will be the value of the variable colors. Now we can actually use string methods on this variable. So for example, because variable colors is actually a string and is just a container for a string value, we can use all the string methods on the variable. So just like we can use the string methods on the strings themselves, for example by typing in a string and then typing in .to lowercase, and it'll turn the string into lowercase. Similarly, if we have a variable which in turn contains a string, we can use the variable name and apply different string methods to it. So in this case, because the variable colors actually contains a string black-white, we can use colors.toLowercase in order to apply the toLowercase method to the colors variable, meaning to the string black-white. and it returns the string black white but with all the letters in lowercase. We can also use string properties. So in this case, colors.length gives us 10 because colors, the variable, equals the string black white and black white has the length 10. So because colors variable contains a string, colors.length returns the length of the string. In this case, it's 10. Now, if we had to do the same thing but without using variables, then that would be inefficient because then we'd have to write the same code like this. So we had to write it using black plus white in a parentheses, then dot to lowercase in order to get the two lowercase black and white. And we had to write the same thing again, black plus white in parentheses dot length in order to get the length 10 of the whole string. Now in this case where we're not using variables, JavaScript has to create two strings every time. So when it encounters the first statement, it creates a string black and it creates another string white. And then it adds them together, calculates the value black white, and then applies the two lowercase method to it. And in the second statement, it again creates another string black and another string white. It adds them together and calculates the result again, and then it calculates the length property of this string. This is very, very inefficient because JavaScript has to create a new string and calculate the value of the concatenation every single time. Compare that to the code on top where we only create two strings once. So when JavaScript encounters var colors equals black plus white, it only creates the strings black and white once and calculates the resulting expression black plus white, which equals black white, once. And it instantly assigns the value black white to the variable colors. And then when we type in colors.toLowercase, it doesn't have to create a new string and evaluate the expression once again because the variable colors already contains the value black white. So it doesn't need to create the new string and evaluate the expression every time we call in a method or a property. So colors.toLowercase works much more efficiently, and colors.length gives us the length of the string without creating the new string and adding them together again. Now the difference won't be that much when you're using just a handful of methods or properties. But in real life code, when you'll be using hundreds of methods and properties, you'll see that without variables, the code becomes very, very inefficient and hard to deal with. That's why we have variables, so that we can store values that we're going to be reusing later on.